My friend's whole personality revolves around how many girls he sleeps with, claiming he is the king of the bedroom, but he was actually the worst I've ever had, so I made sure to call him out on it after he mentioned how amazing our night was to our friend group. One of my 24F male friends, I'll call Jack, 25M, is a bit of a lad and very good looking. Jack basically thinks that lad points are important. He's always going on about how many girls he's been with and how high his body count is. I lived with him in a house share for a while, and whenever he brought a girl home, he'd make sure to parade her around by introducing her, spend 15 to 20 minutes in his room having intercourse, then come out and strut around naked or in his boxers. Yes, he really would. I remember saying a few times, "Why are you out here? You have a beautiful girl in your room and you're not in there with her?" This behavior was pretty common for him, and even though he was an almighty douche, we were still friends. Anyway, after about 8 months of living together, after a drunken night, me and Jack ended up in bed together. Honestly, it was terrible, and having slept with him, I realized something. Jack has a big thing, which I knew because of his strutting, but he thought that having a big one automatically meant he was good at doing it. Like it just immediately made him amazing in bed. Our intimacy was awful, like hands down the worst I'd ever had. No foreplay, he left lights and TV on, then unceremoniously shoved himself inside me. The whole thing was basically a race for him to get inside me as quickly as possible. Maybe 10 minutes of uncomfortable jackhammering, then he was done. The next morning I was really sore because 1. I wasn't wet at all, 2. His thing was big. But because I was sore, he took that as him doing a bang-up job. Anyway, that experience was a few years ago, and even after all this time, Jack is still the same lad he was and still smashes girls like they're lined up on a conveyor belt for him. Back to the present. Recently, my husband and I hosted a barbecue in our garden as gatherings are now allowed. Jack came over as he's in our mutuals group. Of course, after a while Jack starts going on about the girls he's smashed, and even showing up another girl at the party by telling people he'd smashed her. It's then he turns to me and asks if I can prove to the lads how fire he is at intimacy. Slightly embarrassed but also angry he even mentioned me, I straight up told him he was trash. Basically worst I ever had. I then went on to say what happened and that he only has intercourse just to say that he's had it. It wasn't fun, pleasurable, or enjoyable, and for the record I didn't finish. Amazingly enough, 2 other girls also backed up what I was saying. Saying their nights with him were pretty much the same to how I described it. Jack got defensive and angry, but we wouldn't drop it. He eventually left absolutely fuming. My husband, who knows I slept with him years before, said I was insensitive, especially as it seems Jack relies heavily on the lad god persona he's created. I don't think so. It was about time Jack was called out for being trash in bed and maybe use this to learn how to actually have intercourse. All the boys in the group think I'm a jerk for calling Jack out, me and the girls disagree. Edit. Holy cow, this got way more attention than I thought it would. Thanks for all the comments. L and thank you kind strangers for the awards. Should clear a few things up. A lot of people asking why I was or am friends with Jack. I was back then, because honestly at times he was a decent guy, just blanketed by a douchey exterior. Jack and I mainly bonded over weed and raves, and although he was sometimes somewhat decent, looking back I'm disgusted at our so-called friendship. I could write an essay on how he treated me. After I moved out of the house, we fell out of close contact but are still hovering in mutual friend circles. I'm not directly friends with him now, but he's still a friend of a friend and we are normally civil. Edit number 2. I really don't get why people are misunderstanding the story. For the record, I did not cheat on my husband. Jack and I had a one-night stand together years ago while we were at uni. I wouldn't consider him my friend now, but we still have mutuals from different social circles, and we do occasionally still see one another. Commenter. Lad points are a code between guys, a kind of invisible currency that rewards them for certain types of behavior, mostly revolving around smashing or drinking. So like the more girls they sleep with, the more lad points they get. And lad god persona, basically this guy and what I think many other guys do is mold their personality around their bedroom lives. Egg. Jack has created this false reputation of himself for being amazing in bed, and because he has that reputation, it makes him popular around other guys/lads. Update. Honestly, reading through the comments of women praising me for standing up and being honest warms my heart. I greatly appreciate the support I got, and the response my post got has encouraged me to be a stronger person. Yes, in that moment I was angry, but now I feel that I can continue standing up for myself and not taking anymore. I ended up telling my husband I posted this on Reddit, and seeing how popular the post was and the comments for himself, he was immediately upset that people had called him a jerk for not standing up for me. From that we had a long, and maybe overdue discussion. I laid out how embarrassing the situation was for me, and how, after dealing with so much trash from Jack, I wasn't going to apologize for tearing him down. Like so many people commented on, I asked my husband why he was okay with Jack's comments, as surely Jack embarrassed him as well. I even pointed to a hilarious string of comments, with my personal favorite. I think it's funny that the husband was disagreeing. Like, honey, be nice and tell Jack he is bomb smashing. Go ahead and tell everyone he laid the pipe. Go on. My husband reasoned that's just Jack. He doesn't really mean any harm in what he jokes about. I told my husband how I felt, and he honestly didn't realize that all this time the jokes made me so uncomfortable and that I just covered up my uneasiness by just going along with it. I also wanted to distance myself from his friends, close and mutual. As right now I feel like there was never any respect before and certainly won't be any respect for me after. As I'm still getting messages from the boys calling me a batch/slot/everything, you name it. I told my husband that if he wasn't going to stand up for me or stand with me, I would leave him. The persona he has around his friends is completely different to his true personality and is not the man I married. I respect myself more than to let my husband and his friends disregard my feelings in such a blatant way, and worse, allow my husband to witness and just stand by me getting publicly humiliated. My husband is not confrontational whatsoever and admitted he was also very embarrassed but kept quiet. He has never said anything before because Jack is the ringleader of the group and didn't want to go up against him. And as it turns out, it isn't the first time Jack has made comments about me to my husband, I just haven't been there to witness it. Furious at that, I told my husband that breaking away from the toxic group would be best for the both of us, but if he wants to be Jack's lapdog then I won't get in the way of that. I'm pleased to say my husband chose me. He apologized for his own complicit behavior and agreed our lives would improve without our so-called friends. I think me pointing out that his friends disrespecting me were in turn disrespecting him got him to see the reality of it. Truthfully, if they had any shred of respect for him as a friend, they would not be putting him down publicly as well. We were both the butt of the joke. One last point, I didn't apologize to Jack and I never intend to. Honestly, I never intend to speak to him again, but I did message him before I blocked him. To sum up, I messaged to detail point by point why he was bad in bed. That having a big thing doesn't equate to being great in bed, and to get off his high horse. Women are not objects for you to parade around and embarrass, and maybe if you could please a woman, you wouldn't just have to rely on getting girls drunk from the club or bar. I also let him know that how he treats female friends is appalling, and he needs to reflect not just on his game but who he is as a person. So, I've informed Jack of his lack of skills and he is no longer ignorant. If he continues with his behavior, that is not on me. For the record, yes, women should be open and honest in bed, but I don't think it should be a woman's responsibility to let a man know. I mean, guys, read the room. Once again, thank you for the brilliant and supportive comments. Thank you for the awards, and finally, to all the Chads, lads, brothers, and Jacks out there. You ain't anything. Sincerely, women everywhere.